hello, everybody. My name is Nick. I'm here with my co-host, Bianca. Welcome to the Encore Corner podcast. Today, we are happy to welcome Heidi Breidenhagen to the podcast from Doe Wines. Heidi, let's start by having you introduce yourself. Give us a little bit about your background and how you started with Doe.
Sure. As you said, I'm Heidi in Sonoma County, California for almost 15 years. I studied biochemistry. That's kind of my training, what I went to school for, and found myself in Sonoma County on a wine tasting trip with my sister, and I never left. So it was a little bit of an unconventional start, but the kind of combination between biochemistry that it takes to make wine and the atmosphere, the environment of Sonoma County, and just how I've always loved food. I've always loved friends and family and the entire culture. So again, that kind of happenstance situation, being in wine country, just kind of got me hooked. So I started in a lab, which was a natural place to start. Kept working harvests, and then actually landed at McCrosty Winery, where I also make wine, where I really focused into Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. So that kind of, I was with McCrosty for 12 years, and it was kind of time to play around with something new. And this opportunity to work with the James Beard Foundation came up with Doe Wines, and a bit of a passion project. So a way to blend something that I love doing, which is making wine, with philanthropy and good food, just seemed like a really great next step in my career.
Perfect. And I did read online in the bio on Doe that you did get to spend some time exploring Europe too when you were getting started on this journey. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. That was actually before the part where I ended up in California, but I left college and was just sort of trying to figure out the next step. And it seems a little stereotypical, but it was actually this amazing adventure. I spent almost six months there, went through a lot of different countries in Eastern and Western Europe. And what I really took away from the trip was it's not just every country, it's every little town throughout Europe has its own wine, and it's often wine that's made in their basement out of these varietals. They don't even talk varietals. They're just like, oh, well, this is what's planted. And everyone was just so welcoming, and they offer you a little wine and they offer you their traditional dish, and you sit down, and it was just, even if we didn't share a language, we shared food, wine, stories, laughs. And that just kind of added a layer to when I did get to California and saw the wine industry there, that it was just something that I wanted to be part of. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And I think being able to try wine and kind of see the winemaking process in different regions can really help, obviously, to inform what you do now and give you that insight. One thing with the holiday seasons coming up, and this is going live right before Christmas, is you guys do a lot with philanthropy, as you mentioned, and specifically with the James Beard Foundation and your annual donation program. So can you tell us a little bit more about your philanthropic efforts and what compels you to get involved in that way?
Sure. We decided that, as Doe Wines, that we really wanted to partner with someone that knew the whole job of being philanthropic and knew how to make an impact. And in fact, the James Beard Foundation has what are called impact programs. So, what we wanted to do was do what we're good at, make amazing wines, make wines that pair with food, that can be brought to the, family of chefs that the James Beard Foundation already has. And, some of the proceeds of our brand then can be given back to the James Beard Foundation and they can handle putting it to where it's going to make the biggest difference. So again, I think that helped with me because, I didn't need to learn a whole new job of how to start a philanthropy and how to do that. I got to focus on the wines and just make sure that they taste great with food, make sure that people want to buy them so that we can do the good with the wines. So.
And along with the foundation, you also work with a lot of chefs and sommeliers in that space. Are there some chefs and sommeliers that you really love to work with, or any projects that really stand out to you that have gotten you just extra excited?
I've worked with a lot of different chefs. Most recently, I was in New York and worked with Chef Aisha, and that was an amazing experience. There are too many, honestly, to really speak to specifically. But what I will say to that is that, chefs have their own palates. And I actually, when I created this brand, this brand was not about me making a wine for me. It was a wine to make for the chefs and make for the people that are going to be drinking it. And so I actually sat on a panel and kind of tasted a group of chefs through some different kind of styles, options, and things like that. And, what really came out of it is that they all wanted a little something different. They all wanted it very unique. But they also wanted it to taste good with a lot of different palettes. So, I think that's been what's so fun is that these wines are quite versatile, and someone cooking, an Asian dish over here and an Italian dish over here, you can go on for days. These wines can kind of bring out the flavors that work the best with their dish. And, I think that's what really felt like success for me, is watching all these different people enjoy them and think that they work and make their dishes taste better. So that's great.
That's excellent. Now, when it comes to pairing wine and food, so a lot of us will start with, a wine and then, oh, what's going to go good with this wine, and then build our meals off of that. I know that's what I personally do when I have a bottle that I'm opening up. I want to make sure I maximize it. You're kind of working backwards there, where you're trying to make a wine that will work with a lot of foods. So what goes into the actual winemaking process there, where you're tailoring these wines to be friendly towards all sorts of different foods?
That's a great question. A lot of people in wine talk about, single vineyards and a sense of place and a wine being really specific. And I actually went the opposite way. And we work with regions, our Pinot Noir is from Oregon, and there's a lot of different geographic differences in the state of Oregon. And then in California, we decided to kind of use a broad appellation, which is a viticulture growing region called the North Coast. So there are actually some warmer areas such as Alexander Valley or Napa Valley. And then it also encompasses cooler regions along the coast. Sonoma County, Mendocino is a little bit cooler. So basically, by using these broader, bigger regions, I was able to really layer in what you get from those different areas. So take a Sauvignon Blanc, you can get a very rich kind of tropical from the warmer regions, and then in the cooler regions, you bring out the kind of grassy notes and citrus layers, and you can kind of round out a mouthfeel, but keep a really nice acid. So by kind of having all of those different buckets, it's really about whatever food is pairing with it will then kind of enhance what's there. So that was kind of the out in approach, I guess.
And you're working a lot with foods and wines and chefs and all different professionals. But you personally, when you're sitting down for dinner and you're looking at a menu, what are you usually leaning towards? Is there one type of cuisine or one type of flavor that you really, really always go back to?
Okay, so the question is there a type of cuisine that I go to typically?
Generally, yeah. If it's not, it could be like a specific dish if you have like that dish, but you can interpret it however you want to.
Um, you know, I would say the idea of just like the perfect dish is honestly like a fresh bruschetta where I've grown almost all the ingredients. So like the onion, the tomato, the basil, and then you add some like delicious olive oil, balsamic, fresh baked bread. That's actually one of the things. And I think it really means like spring or summer to me. And it's probably like one of the favorite, just sort of like muscle memory palate teasers that I have.
That's a great answer. Now, do you do a lot of growing your own? Are you big into growing your own food?
Yes and no. I love gardening. I when I first moved here and so I'm from Wisconsin, so I had like a 3-month growing season, and then all of a sudden it was like 8 months. I planted way too many tomato plants, way too many everything. So I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, I have to just grow like what I can eat, because otherwise I'm not in the whole canning game. So yeah.
I did the same thing this year. I way overplanted, and my husband was like, "What are we gonna do with all of this?" I made so much sauce.
I know. It was actually it was a fun like back and forth with friends though, because we're like, we have way too many tomatoes. Like, what can you make with tomatoes that's not tomato sauce? So yeah.
And to get a little bit further into the foods that you like to pair the wines with. So I opened up the 2020 Sauvignon Blanc. That's what I have right here. Now Bianca opened up a couple over there as well to taste. But we are getting into the holidays. I know we mentioned, so coming up here, this is going to be out right about Christmas time here. And what are some of your favorite holiday dishes, be it Thanksgiving, Christmas, or just a special dish that you like to make around that time to share with friends and family that goes really well with these different wines?
Yeah, I mean, easy answer is honestly, I think you could have a bottle of each of these wines at your Thanksgiving dinner or your Thanksgiving day or your Christmas day, because I'm that person that, I might be opening the Sauv Blanc in the morning, afternoon to start the cooking process. And, it's something fresh and fun that you could maybe have with like the breakfast you're having while you're cooking the big meal. The Chardonnay has so much complexity, richness. I'm like immediately thinking of like the stuffing, the mashed potatoes that you cover with butter and gravy. And then of course you get into the reds with Pinot Noir and the Cabernet. I think those would not only go with the mains, but you could actually serve those with the desserts. There's a lot of nice like oak and spice in there that would go with a pecan pie or a pumpkin pie. Let's forward to Christmas. I always serve a Danish puff, which is the dessert, and a fresh quiche with veggies for the morning, so that nobody actually has to cook, but you have some healthy food and some fun food. So again, Doe also has a sparkling wine. So open a sparkling wine on Christmas Day, have that with your quiche, bring that into your dinner with the other 3 wines that are, again, going to hold up to anything. So I don't know. I hate to tell people what they should eat on Christmas Day, but whether it's your roast beef, have that with the cab. What do you guys like to have on your Christmas Day?
We always, I guess, kind of like potluck style, right, Nick, where we all kind of bring a different dish. So everybody brings what they would like to have. I've been very fond of just building gigantic charcuterie boards. So that's been my latest thing, but trying to do more actual cooking. And I think a lot of savory flavors, like we love doing a lot of savory dishes. Nick smokes a lot of foods, and we're always trying to do some like
You're
cool
burying the lead here, Bianca.
Sorry.
Christmas Day.
Oh.
So if you didn't know, Bianca's my sister. So we've done a lot of
Okay.
Christmases together here. Bianca, what do we have every Christmas day for eternity?
My dad's meatballs.
The meatballs. And we actually use wine goes into making those. And I think that it goes perfectly hand in hand. I always, when I make them myself, because I've taken that recipe now as well, and I've been known to do it away from Christmas too, because I can't wait all year for them. Cabernet is what I put in there, and I could definitely enjoy those along with them. But definitely a lot of Italian foods around the holidays for us, and a lot of those
Nice.
pasta dishes, the red sauce heavy ones. I definitely like a nice strong red wine to go along with those.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and honestly, like I think during the holidays, it's like you almost get to the end of the evening and you just need like a nice, dry, big red wine, just to almost like cleanse your palate, just something to sip on and relax. So
Outside of wine, is there any other liquors or drinks that you like to gravitate towards?
oh yes, you're gonna make me sound like a lush, but well, I love IPAs, and me and my husband love craft breweries. So we're kind of fanatics about like when we travel, we find the little good spots. And then I am a Wisconsinite, so you can't take me away from my gin. And I think gin is actually one of the most unique spirits there are. Just like all the botanicals you can put in it, and it's just seems like such an artisanal experience. And whether it's just basically gin or add some olive juice, or you can make fun cocktails with it, I think it is really interesting. But yeah, there's not actually something I don't like. However, I will say maybe the biggest thing about me is if you give me something and I try it, I don't like it, I usually just, I don't need to drink it. There are plenty of other good things around. So
I'm definitely with you on the craft beer. You're not alone there. And gin has been really interesting. It's funny that you mentioned that. I know we have an interesting one coming up here soon, but I've been amazed. I was never really too into gin, or I never went too deep into gin. It's not that I didn't like it in a cocktail, but trying a bunch of different ones until we started this podcast in 2020. And since then, we've had a few different distilleries on here that do different kinds of gins, and the breadth of the flavors that you can get out of gin is amazing to me, that it's still the same spirit, because there's been some that taste almost flavor wise like a whiskey, while other ones are super herbal. The one that we have coming up soon is Mexi gin. That one's gonna be, it's almost like, what is it, Bianca? A tequila inspired gin or a Mexican inspired gin. So I haven't tried that one yet. I'm excited for it, but I find it amazing how wide of an array you have there in that gin world.
yeah, for sure.
Well, what are some of the things that we can look forward to from Doe in the next season?
Well, actually, one thing that's exciting is as much as I loved working with Oregon, we're going to be moving to the central coast of California. So we're going to be, in 2022, we're producing a Central Coast Pinot Noir. So that's pretty exciting. It's another cool climate region known for growing Pinot Noir, but kind of an exciting new exploration into that area. We've already produced this wine, but we actually make a rosé that went into kegs. So if anyone is interested in finding that and trying that, you should reach out, because we can let you know where it's on tap. So that was really exciting. And, I think the other exciting things are just some of the events we have planned with the James Beard Foundation. And I don't know our specific calendar, but I know we have a lot coming up for the new year. And a lot to, we'll be with chefs, we'll be trying to do things with, I know Jennifer Bushman, who is really into sustainability with seafood. So I think we're going to be up in Seattle at some point. So lots of good things on the wine front, and out on the road, trying to make sure people know all about us and all that we're trying to do. So
Nice. Now, it sounds like to me a big undertaking to move into a completely new region from one that you're in right now. When you're doing that, are you working with a partner vineyard that's been growing there for a long time, or did you pick a plot of land and you're kind of starting fresh there? How does that process work?
yeah, that's a good question. It is a big deal. And I think this is probably where, just having been in the industry for quite a while, but before Doe was around, I have worked with a lot of vineyards in the area. So yeah, so we're working with some people that I've known for quite a while, and vineyards that I've worked with before. So nothing too new. It's a completely new program, and we're putting together new wines, but I'm not I'm pretty voiced in the region and what we can get from what vineyards and things. So we have some closer to the ocean, some a little inland, lots of good diversity in the palate. So we'll be able to make a wine that's just as intriguing and interesting as the Oregon one. But yeah, should be good.
What are you most looking forward to from a personal standpoint, being somewhere new outside of wine? What are some of the things that you're excited about for yourself?
That's a good question too. Lots of things. I guess probably the most time-consuming thing in my life is I have two children, so a 4-year-old and a 18-month-old, and we're going to be visiting my mom in Wisconsin this December, and I'm excited to see her. And we're hoping it snows, because my 4-year-old daughter swears she's never seen snow before, even though she has. So that's a highlight for me. My son is really starting to communicate. So even though that means he gets to have opinions, it's been really fun to watch him and his personality grow. I don't know, there's just so much. Honestly, we just put the 2022 harvest kind of to bed, but in the next couple of weeks, I'll be tasting through all those wines kind of for the first time post vintage. And it's always a really fun experience to do that. And I guess outside of wine, I don't know. I think travel, coming off having a young kid and the pandemic, I think next year is really going to be the year that I get to travel and do some personal trips and things like that. So it's always been a big part of me, and kind of opening my eyes. So it's something I want to do with my kids more and more too. So I think we're going to try camping, though it's slightly terrifying to have a 4 and a 1-year-old running around by poison ivy and things, but I think we're going to do it.
The good thing about camping is you can definitely ease into it. You can sort of pick places that are a little bit more kid friendly than others. You don't have to take them straight into the deep woods. So that'll hopefully be a fun, relaxing trip for you too when you first take that on. I'm looking forward to that. But when it comes to traveling too, is there anywhere coming up? I know you mentioned taking more personal trips in the new year. Is there anywhere on your bucket list sort of that you haven't been at that you're looking forward to doing next year?
Yes. I think me and my husband are trying to figure out childcare, because we really want to go to Portugal. So it's actually one of the few European countries I haven't been to. And that idea of going to Lisbon and Porto, and we both love Port, we're really hoping we can make that happen. So I hope all the stars align, and that's on our bucket list for sure.
Yeah, we have some family who just went and said it was incredible. We saw lots and lots of iPad pictures.
I know. Yeah, we've literally been wanting to go for like 5 years, and it just kind of, family trips and then kids and then pandemic. So we deserve it.
Right. So is there anything else that you'd like to cover before we close out the podcast? Obviously, Nick and I are so excited to continue trying the wines with different foods. I have already taken a picture of so many dishes that we've done. So you'll be seeing us tagging you guys in those. But is there anything else you'd like to cover that we haven't touched on yet?
I don't think so. I think I would just re-emphasize that, food tastes better with wine tastes better with food. And I really tried to make these wines with that in mind. And, don't get too fixed on only trying one dish with one wine. Play around with it, explore the flavors. I think that's what's so fun about it. And honestly, I think the more bottles of wine on a table and the more people around a table really are what makes life amazing. So I think that's a good way to finish it up.
Absolutely. And we thank you so much for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. We are excited to continue seeing and trying what Doe puts out and seeing what you come up with, and to see your move into your new area. So all very fun stuff. Thank you so much again, and we look forward to hopefully speaking in the future.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for having me. This is great. And happy holidays.
Thanks.
You as well. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye. Have a good night. Thank you.
Uncorked Corner and on the blog at uncorkedcorner.com for a taste of more food and beverage content.
And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, rate, and review on whatever podcast platform you prefer. Thanks for listening.